Okay, first off, if you are a regular viewer and you have not read Kagurabachi, then like, what are you doing? Go and read it. I don't know what you're doing sitting around watching YouTube videos when you could be witnessing peak. Now, don't worry, JJK content is still going to be uploaded as normal, but today our main focus is actually going to be on the incredible new manga, Kagurabachi. Well, to be completely honest, the focus of this video is actually going to be Kagurabachi and Jujutsu Kaisen because I want to compare the two. And my reason for this is that Kagurabachi looks as though it's actually going to fix a lot of the problems myself and other people have with Jujutsu Kaisen. So without any further waffle, let's just jump straight into why Kagurabachi can actually surpass Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, Kagurabachi is a sorcery manga all about the 7 incredibly powerful enchanted blades. And these incredibly strong blades are loaded with spirit energy, which is basically this world's cursed energy and the core of its power system. So every single person in Kagurabachi basically has spirit energy that's locked away inside them. Sorcerers are of course the people who actually learn to harness their spirit energy and allow it to flow through their entire body. This not only massively enhances their physical stats, but it also allows them to use their sorcery technique. Okay, not gonna lie, this definitely sounds very familiar, but just let me cook, okay? Everybody has their own unique type of sorcery, just like an innate technique in Jujutsu Kaisen. Spirit energy can also be imbued into weapons to make things like the enchanted blades and flame, but okay, right, basically it's Jujutsu Kaisen's power system, but a lot simpler. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that though. In fact, I'd argue it's part of the reason why it has such high potential. One of the absolute best parts of Jujutsu Kaisen is its power system, but it's often let down by its rushed pacing and severe lack of world building. Now, the entire reason that I think Kagurabachi can be better is because it cherry picks the best parts of Jujutsu Kaisen, but it also looks like it's going to fix up a lot of the worst parts. But more on this topic later. As I was saying, Kagurabachi's power system seems very similar, but also a lot simpler than Jujutsu Kaisen's. Now, do not get me wrong, I love Jujutsu Kaisen's power system, and I love how intricate and complex it is. Although that does not mean that Kagurabachi's being simple is a bad thing. Sure, it's only 37 chapters in, and it could become massively more complicated, but for now it is refreshingly simple. I think the complexity which makes Jujutsu Kaisen's power system so good is also what makes certain fights and key moments very hard to follow. Weirdly, Jujutsu Kaisen's biggest and most popular fight of Gojo versus Sukuna is the best example of that. To this day, there is not a single person, myself included, who understands 100% of that fight. Sure, there are definitely lots of people who think they do, and there will be lots of people in the comments saying that they do, but the fact is they don't. Now, I get the point was that Gojo and Sukuna were so strong that they pretty much chucked the entire rulebook as we know it straight out of the window. But still, the fight was so complex and hard to follow that it did hurt it in certain places. In fact, I'd say JJK has had that problem with Sukuna ever since his fight with Gojo started. It got so hard to follow and so binding vowy that there are still some debates being had to this day about things that happened months ago. For example, did Sukuna use the world-cutting slash against Yuta and Maki? And this problem is made worse by how difficult JJK's art is to follow during those fights. Don't get me wrong, I love Akutami's art, but there is no denying that some of those fights are very messy in places. Kagurabachi, however, has done an incredible job so far at avoiding both of these problems. By taking the best and simplest parts of a power system like JJK's and pairing it with some of the best drawn fight choreography I have ever seen, it is able to achieve cold-ass fights that are both impactful and easy to follow. In conclusion, Kagurabachi has a perfect power system despite being relatively simple and similar to others. Now, Jujutsu Kaisen is undoubtedly one of, if not the most popular manga in the world right now. And I'm sorry, One Piece fans, no matter how much you scream and cry and call it overrated, it will not change the fact that there are undeniable statistics supporting JJK's #1 status. Now, I love One Piece, okay? Don't come for me, please. Anyway, being massively popular does not necessarily mean that it is immune to having flaws. I have always said what JJK does, it does incredibly, but its biggest problem is what it doesn't do. JJK has such an intriguing history, some incredible characters, and just an amazing opportunity for world building in general. But for whatever reason, Gege just doesn't want to expand on some things further than he already has. I would happily take 50 entire chapters of Heian-era world building to investigate characters like Yorozu, Arame, and Kenjaku. And this right here is the main reason that I think Kagurabachi actually has the potential to fully surpass Jujutsu Kaisen. We are only 37 chapters in, and already there are so many things that I need to know more about. The Seiti War, the origins of sorcery, how can Ishige harness the Datenseki? These are all a few of the things yet to be expanded on, and unlike JJK, it does seem like the mangaka actually intends on doing it. Granted, I'm not anywhere near as interested in any of these things as I am about the Heian era. However, it is only chapter 37, so it's crazy impressive that it's made me care at all. I honestly don't think I gave a f about JJK lore when I got 37 chapters into that. I was just thinking, oh look, Gojo Hollow Purple, that's pretty cool. And then I got on with my day. In fact, it wasn't really until the culling games that I really began to crave more world building from Gege. Yet in 37 chapters, Kagurabachi has not only hooked me on the current story, but it has also made me want to find out more about the world's history too. So if Kagurabachi keeps up the pace of this last arc and adds even more layers, then I genuinely see it being better than JJK. At least that is from a world building and storytelling perspective. I say potential though, because it's obviously not there yet, and in reality it could just totally fumble and fall off the face of the earth. Who knows? Now, despite having the potential to surpass JJK from a story and world building point of view, surpassing it in terms of popularity is going to be a much harder feat. Naturally, having an incredible anime adaptation definitely makes a huge difference, but I have no doubt that Kagurabachi will also get an adaptation one day. My problem is, so far in Kagurabachi, it is failing to do one very important thing that I think was a huge part of what made JJK so popular, and I like to call this the Gojo effect. In just a few short years, Satoru Gojo became one of the all-time most popular anime manga characters ever. Kagurabachi needs a standout, strong as fuck side character with next level aura. And again, Kagurabachi definitely has the potential, and that potential takes the form of a character called Togo Shiba. He is definitely presented as one of, if not the strongest good guy sorcerers in the entire series, but in my opinion, it's not clear cut enough. He recently threw hands with the Toe all alone and literally off-screen them all without so much as a paper cut. There is no denying so far that Shiba is him, and being one of the strongest fighters in the Seitei War, he also has some incredible backstory potential. All I think is missing is more focus on these side characters. I feel like a slight weakness Kagurabachi has is it over-focuses on Chihiro. Sometimes a side character just needs some time alone to really cook, and then that makes people like them more, which in turn makes it easier to enjoy their chemistry with other characters. Don't get me wrong, Shiba and now Hakari have definitely had their moments, but I think what Shiba really needs is a full 1 to 2 chapter on-screen fight where he bullies some strong-ass opponent just like Gojo versus Jogo. All of the best manga have a broken side character who acts as a part-time mentor and is also cursed by their strength. Satoru Gojo, Levi Ackerman, and Roy Mustang are all great examples of this. And surprise surprise, they are some of the most popular characters from the best animes ever made. Kagurabachi is nearly there, but it needs to solidify a character like Shiba as another one of these goated characters if it wants to be that widespread. But like I said earlier, getting an awesome anime adaptation may actually fix that issue if it's handled well. Something you may not know about me is that it actually takes a lot for a main character to even be in my top 5 favorites or for me to really care that much about them at all. I didn't give a shit about Eren until season 4, Deku is mid, Killua was the real MC, and I forgot Tanjiro's name more times than my goat Inosuke did. It wasn't until recent chapters and rereading the manga that I actually realized just how much I love Yuji Itadori, but that's a recent development and not something I thought since the start. There have only been 4 times where an anime main character has been a contender for my favorite character right from the beginning, and those main characters are Monkey D. Luffy, Edward Elric, Senku, and now Chihiro Rokuhira. In my opinion, Kagurabachi has done such a phenomenal job with their main character, and he is easily a contender for my favorite. I think what's so good about him is that he's not just another soppy zero to hero trope. With minimal yet incredibly effective backstory given, Chihiro Rokuhira is immediately introduced as a cold and strong badass. He already has his enchanted blade, N10, and he already knows how to use it, and he already knows exactly what he's after and why he's after it. After barely having 1 chapter of backstory, we as the readers also perfectly understand his motivations, and can even make connections to things like the goldfish Kunishige bore and the goldfish manifested by N10. And not only that, we can actually see what the abilities of the fish represent and what Kunishige was saying each color fish meant. Again, pair the instantly badass main character with a great power system and incredible art, and you already have a recipe for a great manga. All it needs is to keep adding and revealing layers to the world, hype up some side characters, chuck in some twists, give it a banger anime adaptation, and then bam, you have yourself a JJK level story. And despite the mildly clickbait title, I am not actually saying it will happen, but it most definitely is possible. Anyway, that pretty much does it for my first ever Kagurabachi video. Also, don't worry guys, the JJK content is not going anywhere. I'm just making the most out of this depressing ass 3-week break by spreading out to some other stories. Now, I thought this video concept was actually a very good way for me to gradually introduce a new manga into my channel, rather than randomly drop a Kagurabachi chapter review out of nowhere. From now on though, I am hoping to make both JJK and Kagurabachi chapter reviews, and I'm also changing how I make those specific videos so that I can have them out much faster. If you're new here and enjoy either of those mangas, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Also, feel free to join my Discord and follow me on Twitter, links below. Big thank you to the the 10 of you who actually watch this video because screw the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you soon.